And today we're doing another episode of Tommy reacts to the 100 biggest battles in human history. And it's time to look at the Battle of Leuctra. The beginning of the end for Sparta has begun. Ooh, sad. As a big 300 simp man, sad. The Battle of Leuctra. Let's go. The Battle of Leuctra, the end of the Spartans. 10 minutes, best battles, shout out. And let's get into it.
It's July of the year 371 BC. The Spartan army is camping on a hill near the town of Leuctra in Boeotia. The sun has yet to rise from behind the mountains and shed its light across the plain. Spartan king Cleombrotus emerges from his tent to find the Theban army pitching camp a few kilometers to the northeast, undoubtedly readying for battle. A faint smile to be seen on his face.
This came to be
a decisive battle that will shake the very balance of power in ancient Greece is about to begin.
And little fun fact, historians are not made in online courses, they're made on university. Okay, the Battle of Leuctra, 371 BC.
It is summer of the year 375 BC.
That's a prehistory.
A mere couple of months have passed since the Spartan war party suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of Theban general Pelopidas near the town of Tegea.
Okay, I didn't even
This battle resulted in a serious blow to the Spartan reputation of invincibility.
No king rules forever.
The Thebans didn't expect such a surprising, yet
still
relatively minor victory, would shift the balance of power in the region, and Spartan hegemony remained a deadly threat for their path to independence. Still, the Boeotian League, revived by the Theban leaders several years earlier, was growing stronger year by year, and beleaguered Spartan military expeditions could do little to stop it.
So they made a league and Sparta didn't like that.
In the Boeotian city-states in favor of Thebes. The latter's successes also sparked growing concern in nearby Athens, which supported the Theban cause against Sparta since the Corinthian War 15 years earlier.
The
city of Thebes was on a good course to restore its political and military position. In 373 BC, the Theban leaders tore down the walls of the pro-Spartan town of Thespii and captured the city of Plataea, expelling its inhabitants. This proved too much for the Athenian aristocracy, as Plataea was their long-standing ally, and from that point on, any cooperation between Thebes and Athens was a thing
even
of the
without
past.
Athens' help, Thebes was able to beat Sparta.
Athens made a temporary truce with Sparta, but this didn't last for too long, and soon hostilities broke out once again.
What I remember when I read the book years ago is that what the Thebans had, and I don't know if this is historically confirmed, but maybe our great people in chat can tell me, back in this time, it was very alpha to be gay. To massage your brothers in battle, to feel close to them, to have sex together. Homosexuality was a big thing back then because it made the bonds between the soldiers bigger, you know? It was like a big alpha thing. And I once heard or read that the Thebans were one of the first to do that, man, where the army was very, very gay, and that gave them a shit ton of moral, man. It was like, I don't want my lover to die, I don't want the guys that I have always orgies with to die, and they had much more moral fighting that way.
As the war dragged on for a full 8 years,
they would oil each other before battle and stuff.
In 371 BC, a peace conference was held at Sparta to reconsider their ways by appeasing the war-weary belligerents and ending the conflict. The gathering was not only attended by Athens, Sparta, and Thebes, but also representatives of other Greek states, including
Tommy, it isn't nowadays.
Macedonia, and even Persian king Artaxerxes, who was still able to interfere in Greek internal affairs. Though primary sources vary as for the course of the conference, the peace treaty was agreed on between all parties, and the Greek world was seemingly at peace once again. But the very next day, Epaminondas, leader of the Theban delegation, insisted to sign the treaty not for the Thebans alone, but on behalf of the entire Boeotian League. The Spartan king Agesilaus obviously turned down this request, as this would proclaim that Thebes had the power to represent all of the city-states in Boeotia. In turn, Epaminondas pointed out that if this were to be the case, the cities of the Spartan-led Peloponnesian League should be allowed the same and also sign independently. As a result of this dispute, King Agesilaus struck Thebes from the treaty, and both sides began preparing.
Yeah, when they're not busy fighting Persians, they fight each other, man. That's just human behavior, man.
Epaminondas and his retinue rushed.
Kind of scary when you hear like that the Serbians are like planning something in Kosovo, the fucking Chinese are making a big maneuver down in Taiwan, man. Everybody. We're living in a state of war again now, man. Humans just always need war, right?
Back to Boeotia to gather their defenses, as they knew.
Super annoying. and not really meta anymore, man. Let's just fucking enjoy life and let capitalism fuck us all, man.
That the Spartan king
you don't even need war anymore to be
of the Aegeid dynasty
to be rich.
was campaigning with his army to the northwest and was soon to be informed about the failed peace talks in Sparta. Indeed, when Epaminondas reached Thebes, the Spartan army in Phocis was already reported to be moving east. Thebans had most of the routes into Boeotia fortified, but Cleombrotus chose a largely undefended path to the south and took the port of Croesus, capturing some of the Theban warships. From there, the Spartan army proceeded inland, setting...
I'm always so interested with ancient warfare, how scouting must have been, right? You didn't have any satellite pictures, you didn't have airplanes and stuff. All you had was a guy on a horse, and they had to always check in every direction and get home, and if they get caught, then there's missing information. Everything was so fuck of worry, man. Like, scouting must have been such a big part
a camp west of the town of
warfare
Leuctra,
for thousands of
a
years,
mere
man.
10 miles
Ancient
from the city
GPS.
of Thebes, where local statesmen discussed whether to meet them in battle, or rather, to hole up behind city walls and hope for the best. The choice wasn't easy, as the Thebans were able to field just around 6,000 hoplites and no more than 1,000 riders.
It's actually so low, right?
In comparison,
not that much.
Cleombrotus had 10,000
How in the world would Sparta lose that? What?
hoplites at his disposal, supplemented by a cavalry
10,000
unit.
Spartans, man.
Moreover, the fierce Spartan warriors had an intimidating reputation, as they had never been defeated in a major hoplite battle, and their notoriety of being invincible on the battlefield was also
the Boeotians and the Thebans to actually, with this knowledge, to engage
among
them,
other Greek city-states. Tensions were running high in the Theban camp, as chief officers, the Boeotarchs, discussed possible solutions. Initially, they leaned towards the idea of defending inside the city, but eventually, Epaminondas and his friend Pelopidas,
don't tell me they're fucking engaging in open field,
who had defeated the Spartans near Tegea, managed to convince the rest to take the risk, march to Leuctra, and meet the threat on the field.
The fucking balls, man. The fucking
Early on the
balls,
6th
man.
of July 371 BC, the Theban army reached the plain near Leuctra, and both sides began deployment.
Jeez.
Spartan king Cleombrotus formed the usual fairly even line, with a strong right.
I just remember when I was researching this battle years ago that now the Thebans are doing something genius. I don't remember what it was, but they're outplaying these Spartans on so many levels, man.
Of elite Spartians and regular allied troops making up the rest of the line. The fairly inexperienced cavalrymen were unconventionally put in the front of the line. Epaminondas, who took charge of the entire Theban army, was expected to roughly mirror the Spartan array, placing his best men on the right wing and hoping the bout would result in a favorable outcome. But knowing his subpar numbers and renown of his opponent, he employed a different, unorthodox tactic.
And I think this video is going to show us that you have to change the meta, man. You can't just always be dankers and do that heavy tank behind the river. The Spartans have not changed the meta.
While Boeotian cavalry was also put in the front, the Thebans' most experienced units, along with the Sacred Band under the command of...
The Sacred Band, isn't that these gay guys? Historically, I don't remember, but isn't the Sacred Band the guys that love each other? So they protect each other really well?
On the left,
but like elite
directly
guys?
against the
That's
Spartans' top men and generals. Moreover, the Theban left flank was extraordinarily deep, likely to add pushing power to the front ranks and hopefully break the enemy's cohesion. This didn't come without risk though, as the rest of the Theban battle line, comprising of Boeotian allies, was just a few ranks deep, standing little chance against their Spartan counterparts. The battle started with a cavalry skirmish in front of both armies. Theban horsemen were not only more experienced, but also of slightly greater number, and after a brief engagement, they managed to rout the Spartan cavalry, which ran through their own infantry line, temporarily causing some disarray. In the meantime, Theban infantry moved forward in an echelon formation, with their left moving fast and the rest of the line lagging behind to avoid the clash as long as possible. Cleombrotus eventually realized the different alignment of the enemy line and yelled orders to reform his own line, but soon the Theban left flank slammed into the Spartans, and the fierce scrum of battle ensued. The shouting of orders was barely audible among the horrific clamor of bent armor.
I know I say this every video, but imagine this in real life, man. Like thousands of armored men just clashing, dude. It's unimaginable.
And human
unimaginable.
As men perished one by one on both sides.
Imagine, yeah.
But local superiority of the
okay.
Theban force
this shit
and
must be
military
mind-blowing
prowess
to
of the
witness.
Sacred Band soon yielded the results Epaminondas had hoped for.
Okay,
the Spartan right flank crumbled, being pushed back, and soon many leading officers were slain. At a critical point,
I would have pushed the middle, man. The middle has to crush the Finn line quickly so then you get the encirclement, man.
Pelopidas saw an opening and led his men forward to attack the Spartan king. In a matter of minutes, Cleombrotus was mortally wounded, and although his body was retrieved by his companions, it was a crushing blow for
these
the
guys are just chilling or what?
as their right flank collapsed and soldiers ran from the battlefield. Following this, the Theban center and right eventually moved forward, while Epaminondas and Pelopidas were about to flank their enemy. But tactical disadvantage and loss of leading generals soon caused the rest of the Spartan army to retreat to the camp as well. More than 1,000 men were killed on the Spartan side. Among the dead, around 400 Spartiates, the Aegeid king of Sparta, and many high-ranked officers. Theban losses were
crazy
much
how
lower,
one mistake has such a butterfly effect, right? That now the downfall of Sparta comes with this, man.
The Battle
one
of
mistake
Leuctra
can
was not
change the course
only
of
a
history
great
so
victory
massively.
for the Thebans, but also a significant shock for the Greek world, as the myth of Spartan invincibility was ruthlessly obliterated.
I remember when I was a kid, I was really into the movie 300, and Spartans were the best thing ever to me. And then I heard about this battle where they lost, and I was like, no, that never happened. No, Leonidas would never lose
by the
that.
Theban generals Epaminondas
as a
and
15-year-old
Pelopidas.
man.
The great loss of prestige and military influence of Sparta in subsequent years enabled Thebes to expand even further, soon becoming the most powerful city-state in ancient Greece.
Lost 1k men, couldn't recover. After defeat of the Spartan army in the Battle of Leuctra, Thebans set a temporary tropaion to commemorate the victory. It was later replaced by a permanent monument, which was rather an uncommon practice. The base of the monument can still be found today. 10-minute walk from... That's so crazy, you can still see that. Isn't that insane? You can still see that. Anyway, gentlemen, that was a little side content. The Battle of Leuctra.